All right, chapter 2, data. What are data? Numbers with context. So we're going to have two major ways to treat data. All right, this first sentence is going to sound really weird because it's missing a word that's in the next part, but it's intentional, so just bear with me. A categorical is used to answer questions about how cases fall into categories. So the statistical word that we're actually using is a categorical variable. May be comprised of word labels, or it may use numbers as labels. The key features or key feature, I guess, is the percentage or proportion of observations in each of the categories Some examples are zip codes, jersey numbers, male or female, religious affiliation, type of residence, or belief in life after death. And obviously, there's many more, but... Hello? Yes. I said something in homeroom this morning. Yeah, because I asked a couple of them, I said, is it today? And they were like, I think so. And then we asked him and he said yes. But then I said, are you doing anything? And he said no. So I don't know if all teachers know, but I know just because of Grade Link. So, bye. Making sure we know it's Ethan's birthday. Okay. All right, so that's categorical. Obviously, there's going to be others, That's just a few examples of it. So as we go through and do examples, you'll see more of what that looks like. The other type is a quantitative variable. Is used to answer questions about what's happening. The quantity of what is being measured it is comprised of numeric values key features of this one, actually plural, are center and spread. And spread would be like variability. So some examples of this would be age, number of siblings, income, money, degrees, measurements. So quantitative is more about quantity. Categorical is going to be more like a number that's used to name something. Okay. So then within quantitative, we have, it can be either discrete or continuous. So we're going to talk about those two different categories within that. So a quantitative variable is discrete if its possible values form a set of separate numbers such as 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. Now, some people think discrete is like secretive or like quiet. That's obviously not the case in math. Basically what that means is that a discrete variable or discrete variables have a finite, okay, or like limited number of possible values so an example of this would be the number of pets in a household, the number of children in a family, or the number of languages spoken by an individual. So all those are if it's discrete. The other option for it is to be continuous. So a quantitative variable is continuous if it's possible values form an interval continuous variables have an infinite number of possible values So some examples of this are going to be height or weight, age, and blood pressure. All right, so something a little different now. What is a statistic? It is a numerical summary of data. Examples of this are mean, median, standard deviation.
Wrong. That's so cruel.
What did you say?
I said mode.
Oh.
You need a mode. I'm so sad.
Range,
That was funny.
etc.
I knew that was gonna happen.
Just get it out of the way on day one. Or I guess day two, technically.
You know it's gonna continue to happen.
Somebody said earlier Josh is gonna know who I'm talking about, said their goal is to only make one mistake a week. They all laughed.
Seems hard to do.
It's okay, Peyton's in here to correct you though.
Yeah, that's what
So Peyton, you're just not allowed to be absent, because when you're absent,
Things go
nobody
wrong.
corrects it.
Yeah, that's true. Nobody corrects
Okay,
me.
good to know. Good to know.
We all know what happened that one time.
That was funny, didn't it? Get actually put in the notes.
We went through the entire problem almost.
False
And
information.
you were like, wait.
Wait a second.
I was like, I'm gonna take away 5 cookie points.
She didn't know.
All right, this next thing is kind of like the key thing of this chapter.
Can we slow
My
down
hand
for a
already is.
second? I've been kind of behind for a while.
You need to
Yes.
speed up.
You should write fast.
Good, I can drink.
Well, Josh.
You
This
would.
is not
This is a class, unless you're just, really adamant about writing, you could type a decent amount of this stuff.
I'm glad that JR's not in this class.
I might be
Every
bringing
time
my
we had to
laptop
stop
and
away
brother.
from him.
Oh, his brother was in here a couple years ago.
Is he the same way?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I compromise neatness for speed.
he's not even.
I want to be able to read my stuff.
I can
I
read
can
my
still read
handwriting.
it.
It's not too
Josh,
bad.
are you printing or are you cursive?
Printing.
Isn't cursive just easier for you?
No.
Oh.
Well, if I write in cursive, I'm going to write fast and not going to be able to read anything at all.
Who can read?
very
Brandon
accurate.
Welcher? Brandon Welcher? How could you
No.
read it?
I
No
have
one
to
gets
ask.
it.
This was like a different
Whenever we
language.
did the vocab quizzes and we passed back, I had to ask for everyone what does this say?
Oh, that was so
Yeah,
bad.
for real.
I might just be typing for my laptop this time.
I don't like typing notes, honestly.
It goes faster.
I I will say the next chapter would not be the chapter to decide you're going to switch to that, though, because there's a lot of charts and graphs. So you might not want to do that in that one.
See, that's also.
But I could tell you, like, this is a good section that you could type it if you want to. Or, I mean, if you're really good at putting graphs and stuff in quickly, then it's fine. But
No, I
You just
struggle
have that
so
one
much.
random button.
I had a class about how to do that, and I still can't do it.
Like
Yeah,
literally,
but-
I just don't understand.
Like, if I can't just copy and paste it, it's not working.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
All right.
Literally though.
Wait, is physics the one that you said you could do it in like 80 days? Okay, so it's physics.
Yeah, like, I already have a test scheduled, and they're like, what?
Oh.
Yeah, look at the board.
So we are gonna do it in 80 days?
Where? Oh.
Oh, no.
We should though, because then we get it over with.
That's a, you
You'd
got-
have a
you
test,
got
like,
till
next Thursday if we were doing it in 80 days.
Is that next week?
The
No.
test isn't. The quiz is.
The next
Fine
week.
by me.
Is that Monday?
Get it over with.
Yes.
Honestly.
At least you tell
Then
us
we have
way
one
in
less
advance.
one less math.
Guys, I get
Yeah,
to
but
the
like
parent list.
like Friday of next week, like we're not gonna be here, so it's just gonna be like a free study day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
We as in,
like as in the volleyball team's gonna be gone.
Me and her
Is
basically.
that an away game?
It's a tournament. Like we're spending the night at a tournament.
That's
Oh.
cool. You already have a tournament.
2.
enjoy.
Hopefully we have 4 total.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
All
I don't know why that took me a second.
right. We've had a nice hand break, so
Yeah, my hand just stopped hurting.
we're on the last page, so
Oh,
that's
cool.
comforting. We've already gone through 2.
That
Wow,
actually is
that seemed
comforting.
really fast, honestly. And I'm
Because your
glad.
page is like my like half page.
All right, in order to determine the context of data, consider the W's and H.
I won't consider you until I know.
I like how it's plural and then it's just H.
You're gonna think
The-
you're in English class
The who's and
because
hows, the where's and hows.
Where's the
The
how?
what's and hows?
who, what, when, where, why, and how.
Oh, that's why there's multiple W's.
Oh.
But not necessarily in that order, so don't start writing yet.
I won't.
All right, who are the individuals or cases what and in what units what variables were recorded about each of the individuals or cases. So this is probably the easiest part to ever answer because you basically just write all the variables every time on that step. And usually the problems are pretty nice and say, like, lay it out, like, pretty much right in a row in the sentence for you. So you pretty much just end up copying it. Where was the data collected? Why? Why was the data collected? And just so something to note about the why part, this helps to know to treat as categorical or quantitative. Bless you.
Thank you.
It's hand sanitizer. If you want non-gross smelling hand sanitizer, I have lemon hand sanitizer on my desk. That's like super alcohol-y.
Where?
It's over there in the
Oh.
corner. It's lemon. It smells way better. That's why I keep it
I was
hidden.
confused because that just looks
You
like
don't
a
want
bottle of.
people to take your lemon.
It's expensive.
Really?
It's like the Bath and Body Works hand sanitizer, but it's in like a massive bottle.
Yeah.
They started doing like the big bottles, and I was like, that was a game changer for them.
That's okay.
Well, like during COVID, when we had to like sanitize our hands every like 2 minutes,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not putting that nasty stuff on my hands, so I bought my own.
On my hand.
Oh yeah, don't you have to like in COVID years?
That probably gives you COVID.
Did you have to leave? Didn't you have to like when you entered the classroom you had a hand sanitizer on your hands?
Yeah, it's like in a hospital.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I bet you that
still have to do
watered
it.
down alcohol stuff gives you COVID. I don't know. They
I don't know,
put-
but it smells bad.
If you drink it.
What? They're
However,
okay.
not as bad as the hand sanitizer at Busch Gardens smelled.
Oh.
That stuff was awful because it was made at the brewery right there.
The hand sanitizer at my church, like one of the old ladies at my church, just like
I think it was at your
decides to put water in the hand sanitizer to make it just so you
Does it
use the
last
most of
longer?
it or
The
whatever.
stuff that's here at this
No,
church,
literally just
it
water.
smelled like peanut butter, but it was like
There's a tree
a lot
outside
of
that if you
disgusting
touch.
peanut butter.
There's a tree outside that if you touch the leaves, and
But you
it
can
smells like
never
peanut
get
butter.
rid of the smell.
Peanut
Yeah,
butter
no.
is
It's
bad
just
in
stuck on
system.
your hands forever.
Just rub it. It's not like yours.
Fan, do you shower with that stuff?
What?
You love peanut butter so much.
I don't shower with peanut butter. Really.
Are you sure?
And the peanut
Are you
butter
sure?
leaves.
Does it smell like peanut butter?
I feel like you're gonna have those peanut butter trees all around your house. I love peanut butter. It's gonna be the one with the 5-pound bucket. Oh my god.
Yeah, I remember that.
All right, how the data are collected
I want to say is. So
Yeah,
bad.
fine.
can make. Yeah, it was brutal to get used to the first year. Can make the difference between insight and nonsense. Because sometimes they just give you too much information.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember, like, I think it was, like, in elementary school when they, like, introduced word problems, they'd make you, like, cross out the irrelevant part.
Yes.
That's basically,
Yes, the step by step. We did that in 6th grade with Miss Holloway. I remember that. It was rough. I don't like it.
yeah. When was the data collected?
Oh, there's still.
Why did you do how before when?
That just was wrong.
I don't know. When we actually go to do them, and I'll, like, actually give you a spot to write everything in, and I have them in the order that I want them in, so it's easy to grade.
Amazing. Because if we all wrote our own to the side, you'd probably have to go like.
I'd go crazy.
Yeah.
Now, something else I'm going to point out is that sometimes one of these categories or multiple of these categories, that information isn't given to you. And so we just say something like unknown or not stated or something along those lines. Or not specific is the one that the book usually says if it doesn't tell you. So then I have a question. Are the numbers 17, 21, 44, and 76 data? You need to tell me why.
Those are very specific numbers, and I don't know why.
I mean, they could be,
Oh,
but they
no.
don't really seem like it because they're not specified as to what they are for.
Bingo.
Yeah.
No,
Whoa. where'd you get
because
that from?
there is no context.
They're just existing.
I guess that's my brain.
What are data? Numbers with context.
Oh.
Oh.
I was so gonna
See, I've written so much, I don't remember what I've written.
Now, if instead I said, are these jersey numbers, blah, 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 data?
Then they'd be data.
Yes,
Context.
because there's
Yeah.
context to it.
Okay.
I love context.
Context is important.
I don't know.
Love it.
Without context, a lot of things are so much funnier.
Let me sparkle.
Let me sparkle.
Data must have context to be meaningful. Without context, data cannot be interpreted.
That's totally the right way to say interpreted.
Are you sure?
Interpreted?
I say interpreted.
It depends on the context.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. My brain's already like.
It's like pecan or pecan. Like,
It depends on the
it's context. It's what I'm talking about.
I don't think
But
that
there's, like, a
really
whole extra syllable.
classifies. It's just some people say
It's like-
that's just not a context thing.
It is
It's
a
like
context.
more
It is for me though, because it's the context of what I'm talking about. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick pecans, but I'm gonna have pecan pie.
No.
Josh, your mouth is
It's pecan.
He was like, "What?"
I just say pecans.
I don't even know which one it is, so I just
I don't think anybody really knows what it's supposed to be.
sometimes I just mix the two together.
Yeah, sometimes it's
Could end up as can.
Pecant.
Can you?
All right, we're gonna do an example for you to see what this looks like.
Ooh. Example.
All right, so what I'm gonna write in black is the problem statement, and then we're gonna do the who, what, when, where, why, how. And then also, what you have to do once you do that is then the variables that we wrote in the what category get rewritten as categorical or quantitative. So every variable then has to be specified as what it is.
Okay.
All right, so, and this is actually number 14 out of the textbook. The State Department requires local school districts to keep these records on all students. Age, race, days absent, current grade level, standardized test scores. There's more to that, I just. In reading and math. And any disabilities. All right, so I'm gonna let you make sure everybody has that written down before we solve it. Well, I say solve.
That's what I was saying.
Before we analyze it, or something to solve.
What am I solving?
I love analyzing.
You love
I feel like you're gonna like this class.
Me too.
Might be the first one that I've ever had that enjoyed it.
Like so far it's pretty
gonna get
decent.
5.
I'm not hating it.
So far, it's our first day of notes.
Well,
but
this is.
Oh yeah,
Never
I'm
mind.
Not, I'm not hating the
I'm not gonna
numbers.
make y'all sad.
It's like,
Wait, what?
Yeah.
it's like a
To say this is probably the easiest thing we do the whole time.
Well, yeah, I would think
Oh, well,
so.
this
It is
is-
like the first
this is
thing.
pretty
you
easy
know.
though.
There's 6 chapters in our first unit, so once we get to chapter 6, then we test.
How many chapters do we need to get through in the first semester?
14.
Okay. I'm
Ballpark.
gonna do that.
Well, I mean, we're on 2 already, so.
And we skipped 10, so
Yeah, we can do
We
it.
skipped 10 chapters or chapter 10?
we skipped chapter 10.
That's very funny.
Basically, chapter 13, so chapters 1 through 6, then 7 through 10, 11 through 13, and then it's like 14 through something, but those are all the breakdowns of the unit. So some units are like 3 chapters and some are like 6.
Nice.
All right, we have this all down, so we can
So are there
analyze.
going to be certain questions that have the W's and the H, or is it going to be every question this whole year? You're going to have to do.
Oh
like,
no,
a
this is like this chapter.
Oh, okay.
There's like some like later on that it may ask you specific questions like the like who or this is your variable, what type is it? Like it may ask you things like that, but
Okay, but it's,
no, like don't forget it because I mean you need it in May, but
Yeah.
it's you know. All right, let's pick a pretty color, purple. All right, who? So in this case, the who are the students.
Do we need to use complete sentences?
No.
Thank goodness. That would make this 10 times worse.
That's
It would be awful.
Yeah.
And when it says what, we're writing down every single variable in its entirety. Don't shorten it.
okay.
So the what in this case is going to be age, race, days absent, current grade level, standardized test scores, in reading and math, and any disability. So like don't shorten and just say standardized test scores. Like make sure you write it out in full in reading and math.
Definitely good to know.
How many points would we get taken off if we didn't write the full thing?
Well, typically what I do is each of these like individual categories of things is 2 points each. Which makes each question about 14 points. So if like I end up with this taking off like half points a lot because of how it works out or like 1 point. But there's not as much partial credit with these either because it's kind of like right or wrong.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So if it kind of makes sense or I see where you were coming from, then yes, I can give like some partial credit. And I will say like some of these, like as you go through them, you may say like, well, I would have think this isn't specific. It didn't like really state it and it requires some like background knowledge of something. So I am a little more lenient with some of it, but you have to realize like when you get to the AP exam, like they're going to have this expectation of like, this is the answer. And if you don't have it, it's not right.
Yeah.
So I might be a little bit more flexible, but that doesn't mean that the grader for the exam is going to be flexible. So that's why, like I say, write the full thing out. Do I personally care? Would I abbreviate it myself? Yes, absolutely. But when you get to the exam, no, that's not going to be allowed.
So, yeah, just
So.
do it now.
So for AP stats, since they're like for the AP exam, since there are short answer stuff, is there like an actual person like grading?
Yeah, math always has an actual person grading.
Okay.
Like the multiple choice parts get, I'm assuming you just get like goes through a machine.
Right, yeah,
But
yeah.
there's always a short answer part on math that you have to like fill in. So yeah, there's like readers that grade.
I would not want to do that.
Because I feel like.
Yeah, they've asked me before and I was like, no.
Yeah, because like a machine.
It takes up way too much time.
Probably has like one way they did it, and if you don't do it the exact way, it's like.
There was something I read, I don't remember which AP exam it was, but I read the other day that in like 1997, there were like 9,000-ish people that took that particular exam. And it said in like 2021 or something like that, 220,000 students took that exam. Like it was just like, look at the difference in
Yeah.
like the span of how many years.
That's
It's like,
crazy.
yeah, no wonder they need more readers.
Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to do that.
It was crazy. All right, so next is when. Any ideas on this part?
Unknown.
Okay.
Every
Annually.
day. Oh. I don't know.
Sometimes you have to infer from something.
Yearly.
Yeah, I feel like this would be yearly thing.
Well, so
Well, wait, but like
Oh, current.
so it needs to be kept current.
current. Okay.
So sometimes, come back.
Just documented the
So sometimes you have to infer a little bit based on what the question says. So it needs to be kept current.
Okay.
Now, you're probably going to get ready to question me on this part. Where? Any ideas?
Schools.
State
But
department.
you said we're gonna question you.
Where is saying, like, where did they do this analysis?
The districts.
Schools.
It's not specific.
It's not specific.
Places.
States in this.
It's not specific. If it said, like, at Denby Baptist Christian School, blah, blah, blah,
Oh.
that would be your
So it
where.
has to be a
This is very
specific
generic.
thing.
Yes.
Otherwise, we're gonna put non-specific.
Yes.
Oh. Oh.
So it didn't, like, for the win, it didn't explicitly say it needs to be kept current, but you can infer that it needs to be current from current grade level.
So.
And, like,
if,
age and stuff like that.
If they didn't say current grade level, would you say non-specific, or could you still?
Probably
infer?
so, yeah.
So if it said the State Department of Virginia requires school districts, would you put
I would put Virginia.
Virginia? Okay.
Because it's just not specific enough to say
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
specific for this one. So
Okay.
That makes sense.
I'm understanding.
I know it's going to be confusing, and there's going to be times when you're going to be like, how in the world did you figure that out, that it was something listed? And then sometimes you're going to be like, well, I thought it was this. How is it not specific?
Yeah.
So the more examples we do, the easier it comes. Like, usually you've done enough examples between what we do in class and the homework that by the time you get to the quiz, like, there's typically no discrepancies. Like, you've typically got it down. So don't worry about it if it's not making sense right now. Why? Why would they be doing this?
So.
It's required.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep, state requires it.
That would be my only question. Was like, are we talking about why the school does it, or why the state requires it? That's the only thing.
Yeah.
I think that
It's it's yes, almost exactly what he just said. You can't think too hard about it.
It's straightforward.
Yeah, some things have to be inferred, but some of it's also yeah. All right, how? This is another one that's going to be inferred a little bit.
In computers.
Like,
The how do they get this information?
They had a
Yeah, like-
document
asking.
Asking
Yeah, basically, info's collected, and then stored as school records. So that's the W's and H. So now we need to take those variables and we need to determine if they are categorical or quantitative.
Okay.
So we're going to write down categorical, and we're going to go through the list. I'm going to go ahead and also write quantitative so I can just, as I go through the list, I can just put it in its right. Word always looks weird. I can go ahead and put it in the right spot. So I'm just going to go across. My preferred thing is that you go in order, but obviously, well, what you'll find is I put little check marks above them as I go if I need to make sure they're all there, if there's like a ton of them. All right, so age, what would that be? Yep. Quantitative. Race,
Categorical.
categorical. Days absent.
Quantitative.
Yep. Current grade level,
Seems categorical.
categorical, okay, because it's a number that's describing something. Standardized test scores in reading and math.
Quantitative.
Yep. Now, I will say, as you do your homework, if you do shorten it on your homework and stuff just to save time, that's fine. But on the quiz and test, write the whole thing out just so you're getting the habit of it.
And disabilities would be category.
Yep. Any initial questions about that? So there are a few examples out of the textbook that we may still look at, but I have a sheet that's called like the W's, it's your turn, that we'll probably go through like one of them, maybe two of them together, and then I'm going to have you guys try one, and then we'll go through a few out of the actual book so that you can see kind of how the book is laid out and stuff. So that could take us Monday and Tuesday. I think I have tentatively that it's going to take us both days, and then we'll start chapter 3 on Wednesday. So